What is your smartest and dumbest investment in this COVID era?
I should have put every penny I have into Amazon or Apple.
How much are you worried about a market correction?
When? This week? Not at all this week. In the next year or so, very worried.
You said that the next couple of years we're going to have the worst bear market in your lifetime.
How can the next bear market not be the worst in my lifetime? I'll watch China Business Network every minute, every day, if you have a solution to this.
What is your suggestion for investors?
Don't listen to hot tips.
The U.S. equity market recovered so much of their March slide that it produced the shortest bear market in history, and Nasdaq Composite is already making new highs amid this historic death toll of COVID-19. So first of all, do you think the U.S. equity market is overbought?
Well, the U.S. equity market totally collapsed, as you know, the worst in decades, probably the worst ever. But then the government, the central bank and the government came riding in with lots and lots and lots of money. So everything turned around very quickly as far as the stock market is concerned. But if you give me a few $1 trillion, I'll show you a very good time. We will have a lot of fun. I mean, someday somebody's going to wake up and say, what do we do now?
But in the meantime, gold and treasury note prices are also rising with the equity market. What signal it sends?
Well, I own gold, as you probably know. I bought more gold last week, got a little gold right here. You never know when you might need a little gold. I suspect gold and silver both will go much higher before this is over because currencies everywhere are being debased, debauched, printed, spent, borrowed. In times like that throughout history, people have turned to gold and silver. I, for one, would not use bonds. If anything, I would sell bonds short because it cannot be good for bonds down the road. But in the meantime, people are so desperate for yield that they'll buy anything. Junk bonds are going through the roof. It's lunacy, but there's so much money around and people are so desperate that everything is going up.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how much are you worried about a market correction or even a meltdown?
Well, I mean, when? This week? Not at all this week. In the next year or so, very worried. Frequently, when you have a long period of rising any asset, stocks, and then huge amounts of new money comes into the market, you have a blow-off. And that may very well be what's happening now. Real economy is not strong, so the money is not going into factories or receivables or inventories. It's got to go somewhere. So we may well have a blow-off, given that there's an election coming. And then, every blow-off in history has ended very, very badly. And this one will too, if it turns into a blow-off.
I remember in an interview in late March, you said that the next couple of years, we're going to have the worst bear market in your lifetime.
Well, first of all, look out the window. We already had it. We certainly had the worst in my lifetime. There are bankruptcies everywhere. But to the rest of the answer to your question is, after this, and if we have a blow-off, then we're going to have horrendous problems. Always, when you have a big bear market and there's huge debt, it's pretty severe. Now the debt is higher than ever in history. How can the next bear market not be the worst in my lifetime? It doesn't seem to me to be a strange statement. It seems to me to be self-evident, like the sun's going to come up tomorrow. If you can tell me how the next bear market is not going to be horrible, I want to know. I'll watch China Business Network every minute, every day, if you have a solution to this.
Fed Chairman Jerome Powell warns that the path of the economy will depend significantly on the course of the virus. But with U.S. daily new cases still above 50,000 and more states rolling back on reopening plan, so what is your expectation on the U.S. economic recovery?
The U.S. economy is certainly not going to be as robust as it was even 6 months ago, given that, first of all, we closed down a lot of places, And second, that a lot of people are terrified right now. That's different from financial markets. I would not expect the U.S. economy to be terribly robust for a long time.
So to what extent are you worried about the disconnection between Wall Street and Main Street?
Well, a great deal, because as long as the U.S. economy, the Main Street economy doesn't get better, Washington is going to pump more and more out because they want to get elected. That's their business. I'm not endorsing it. I'm just telling you it's going to keep happening. Is it good for the world? Yes, for a few months. Is it good for the world? No, it's going to be a huge problem down the road.
But the longer it takes to bring the virus under control, the longer the Fed needs to expand its lending power and Treasury is sending out more free checks. But what is the legacy when we finally coming out of this virus?
You just met my two young daughters. For them, I mean, America's leaving them a very, very difficult legacy. America was already the biggest debtor nation in the history of the world. And now in a few weeks or a few months, we have added trillions of dollars to the debt. What do you do when you're 20 years old, 30 years old, 15 years old, when you come out of this? Historically, countries that have done this sort of thing have led a very difficult legacy for the young people and for future generations.
If you don't mind, share with us, what is your smartest and dumbest investment in this COVID era?
Well, my dumbest investment was not buying everything in sight during the collapse. That's pretty clear that everybody should have taken every penny they could find and buy shares anywhere. It didn't really matter where. I should have put every penny I have into Amazon or Apple. I did not do it. We'll see what my smartest is. I bought some depressed things around the world. We'll see how they turn out. I don't like buying things making all-time highs. The Japanese market is down nearly 50% from its all-time high. About Japanese ETFs, the Chinese market is down dramatically from its all-time high. I've been buying what I hope are depressed Chinese shares. Russia's hated. So I've been buying what I hope are depressed.
So what is your suggestion for investors in such volatile and ever-changing environment?
I've told you some of the things I'm doing, but my first advice for investors is don't listen to hot tips. Under no circumstances should you everybody wants to get rich this month. If you want to be a successful investor, is stay with what you know. Everybody watching this knows a lot about something, whether it's fashion or cars or sport. Just stay with what you know. It's boring. Nobody wants to hear that. Everybody wants, no, give me one tip. Just give me one. Give me one. If I told you you can only have 20 investments in your life, you wouldn't be jumping around all the time. You'd be very careful about what you bought and sold, and you would probably be very successful. You'd be boring, but you'd be successful. I bought a Russian shipping company, because everything closed down. But don't do what I've been doing. If you don't know any Russian shipping companies or how to find them or even how to buy them, please do not even think about buying Russian shipping companies.
Why not?
Because you don't know what you're doing. Suppose I tell you to buy something and it's 10 and you buy it and it goes to 20. You don't know what to do. You don't know why you bought it. You're going to tell everybody you know, I bought this stock at 10, now it's 20, and I'm very, very, very smart. Well, you don't know what to do next. Now, suppose it goes to 5. You still don't know what to do. What you will do, though, you'll say, I bought this stock because of Jim Rogers. He told me to buy this stock at 10, and now it's 5. It's his fault. If it goes from 10 to 20, you never remember Jim Rogers. All you remember, you tell all your friends, I bought this stock at 10. Now it's 20. So no, you don't know what to do if you buy something because with somebody's hot tip. That is a terrible, terrible way to be an investor.
So just keep calm and do your homework.
Most successful investors do nothing most of the time. They wait until they find something they know is going to be successful.